This method of painting that I've been doing requires a completely tan background with a perfect sketch on top for all of my colors to apply correctly. And so, I don't know if you can tell on the camera because, all art is subjective, but like, there's something fucked going on with the legs and the arm and the hand. And I've already erased a bunch. Like, the upper half is fine. The upper half looks perfectly fine. The facial features, that's not like what's going to be there forever. But just so I have like an outline. The hand is fine, this arm on the stool is fine. Even the top part, like the knee is fine, but then this part is just fucked. So I'm gonna have to erase all this charcoal that I put on there, paint it tan again, and then paint it tan again after that, and then restart the sketch and hope that I do it perfectly next time. Something that I think is so interesting is that a lot of people will say that art was an escape or that it is an escape. And for me, art could never be an escape because it made me confront all of my issues that I haven't worked through. So when I'm painting, when I'm writing, when I'm drawing, anything that I'm doing creatively, it never feels like an escape from reality. It feels like I'm traveling back to the past. And art is not my peace. Art is like my hell, And it's so weird because art is never talked about like that. And it's also weird because I was not able to make art that felt like anything until I accepted that art is kind of like my hell. When I first started painting, I just painted images from Pinterest. Like, that's fine. There's no emotion attached to that. Like, that's just, practicing. So I would practice and I would use images from Pinterest. And I got a lot of praise and all of my art opportunities came from me doing that, like, initial Pinterest work, my own images. I would just paint photographs that I found. Then I transitioned to like painting my own photographs, and then I transitioned into painting crushed cans, and that was my first, these crushed cans were my first attempt at painting something from the heart. For me, the crushed can sort of represented a broken heart, and I was able to use the crushed can to express these feelings. And that was the first time I did actually confront my feelings when it came to my artwork. And when I started painting the crushed cans, my art career kind of just took off, within my small town. I'm not a big artist, but that's when I started getting a lot of opportunities and a lot of recognition. And that was my first from the heart project. And so I just find it interesting when people can say that like art is their escape, because I don't feel good making art now unless it is that hellish place that is like all of the traumas that I've gone through. And it's not necessarily bad. I think that there is a point in working through issues where you finally like come out on the other side. I'm waiting for that moment. It hasn't happened yet. But I don't know. I think eventually I can create from a place of content. And then I don't know what my artwork is gonna look like then. So these sort of paintings that I've been making recently of like women sitting in the stool, these are a continuation of the crushed cans. They're just in a different form. Like, you can see the body composition is still like, it's still crumpled in a way. She's seated, but the curvature of everything, that's what I liked about using crushed cans as like the avatar of my feelings. But bodies have those same curvatures, and when you're seated, it just gives the same effect. So I actually had to start painting things outside of cans because people started to just call me like can girl, and I don't like that. I really hate when people put me into a box and try to label me or label my art or think that I can only do one thing. And so I actually stopped painting crushed cans as a protest. Because I don't know why people can't just, it's like when people want to consume you, they don't want to just consume you. They want to like know your brain, and they want to know your moves, and they want to know what you're going to do, and they want to like go to you to expect one sort of thing, and if you do something outside of that, then you're not good anymore. And I don't appreciate that. I don't respect that thought process, and I don't listen to, like, I don't like it. So I had to stop painting crushed cans just for my own peace of mind. And it sucks because that was like the avatar of my first set of like heart pieces of artwork. And yeah, they would just kind of get diminished to, oh, you love Red Bull, or oh, you love Coke, or you must really like Pepsi. That's what it was diminished to. So I decided to get even more vulnerable in these sort of self-portrait series. When I do self-portraits, I'm never going for like my exact anything. I don't really care about that. That's why I painted crushed cans. It's like my avatar. I just care about like the composition of things. And I also like things to look, I like things to look beautiful. So if I'm ever doing a portrait of anyone, I'm always going to make sure that things look flattering. You know, that's something I hate about whenever someone wants to like do a portrait of someone else, they always emphasize, first they always try to do it like super realistic, which is fine, like I can understand, but they always like sort of emphasize the worst features, and they're like, well, it just looks like you, it's perfect, it looks exactly like you. And it's like, okay, I get that, but like, you're an artist, you know what looks flattering. Like, if someone has a huge schnoz, you don't have to like do it perfectly, just, you know, perfectly emphasized. That's kind of one of my traumatic memories from childhood, was my art teacher. Hold on. Yeah, so I have this traumatic memory from when I lived in Arizona. I had this art teacher, and she was this like really tough, like broad Russian woman. I remember she had dark hair and just strong features. She was really skinny, and she was like fashionable, you know, whatever. And we had to do self-portraits in class, and this was 5th grade. So 5th grade, we had to do self-portraits. And I remember that I was really insecure about my looks, and so when I drew myself, I just made the features that I was insecure about, like what I thought, I just made them look cuter. And this woman comes over to my artwork and she says, you know, your nose is very aggressive. You have very aggressive nose. And I'm like, and then she erases my nose that I put on there, and she just draws like the hugest rendition of what my nose is, and she's like, that's better. You have very aggressive nose. And I was so discouraged, and I felt like she had ruined my art piece and also called me ugly. And so I just felt so bad. And so ever since then, I've had this irrational fear of people depicting my image, because it seems like no one ever tries to just make someone feel flattered. Like no one ever tries to just be cutesy, you know? Like I don't know how to explain it. I've done plenty of self-portraits of people, and it's like, I can obviously see how you look. Like, yes, I can see how you look, but also I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, I never want to be depicted in a way that just sort of makes me look terrible. But it seems like that's not the general idea that people have. And it's like, if you are depicting someone in a way and you're making them look terrible, then go full abstract, right? So like, if someone were to paint me, hold on. Okay. So yeah, if someone were to paint me in a way that just looked completely terrible and it's for the sake of getting my features right, at least just make it abstract. So like if someone painted me like Picasso's paintings, it's like I can't really say anything about how you've depicted me because it's abstract, right? What really gets me is when people are like, oh yeah, this is a realistic painting of you, and it's just all your worst features on display, and they're like, aren't you happy? Do you like it? Like, no, I don't fucking like it. Like, you know I wouldn't like it. You made me ugly. That's just my insecurity. With these paintings here that I've been doing on this like tan background, I've been liking making the hair yellow, and that's how I see it. I just see it as like yellow hair. Just for like a contrast. I could still probably end up turning this black, but I just like I do like making colorful artwork. That's why I liked the crushed cans that I was painting, because it allowed for all of that color. But yeah, I don't have much opportunity to inject a lot of color when I'm doing this method, mostly just because I do like painting it upright, but when I do washes of color, all of the color that I put, because the paintbrush has to be so wet, all the color just drips down automatically. And so if you're trying to do a lot of colors and it's sitting upright, it's like everything just drips and then it just turns into muddled brown. And so I would just have to lay the canvas flat in order to add all of the colors that I would want. And I just don't feel like doing that right now. I think that's really the main thing. Just don't feel like it, so. Let me see. But yeah, I've been liking using yellow for the hair. It just makes it pop. It just makes it interesting to look at. I forgot what the topic of this video was supposed to be about. And I also probably cut a lot and it's all over the place. So if you stayed for this long, thank you so much. But also if you clicked away, I understand. This kind of looks like Rita Ora. That's the other thing that's hard about like doing self-portraits that don't really look like you, because you're injecting like random facial features, and then, I mean, I think there's similarities in everyone's face, but there are certain things that make it look like specific people. And so I feel like this looks like Rita Ora right now. I changed the nose a little bit, so maybe it'll start looking a little different. We'll see. But something else random that I was thinking about, I get a lot of my content, or a lot of my this is like Rita Ora, fuck. But yeah, something else I was thinking about is that I get a lot of I write a lot. And something that helps me write is listening to all of the random people on TikTok, because my feed is kind of curated to just be talking about childhood traumas and being an adult, trying to deal with things. That's what most of my feed is. And so I'm always getting good little gems of information that I can use. And so, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm always getting little gems of things to think about. And so the most recent thing that's been stuck in my head was someone made a video and they were like describing their experience being an artist, being a musician, and then someone coming up to them being like, oh, you're a musician? You should try this thing, or you should try that, or you should try this. And the person's like trying to give them advice, and then the person who they're giving advice to, the musician, is like, oh, I'm actually like established and I have 3 albums and I'm not a beginner. So like, I probably won't do those things, but yeah, that seems cool. And then the person who started like giving the advice just completely loses interest and is like not interested in the person anymore. I guess what goes along with it is like having support. So initially the person is excited and they're like, oh my gosh, like you're an artist. What's like, are you working on projects? And then they're like, I know someone who's an artist and they're doing that. Like trying to give advice and they're excited at first, but then when they find out the person is established, they lose interest. And so then someone stitched that video and they were like, this is such an interesting thing that happens. And she was talking about how it happens to her because she's a writer.
Hey, you're really talented. You should be a professional musician and release music. Thank you. I actually am a professional musician. I've been in the industry for over a decade and I've released 4 albums as well as countless EPs and singles. You should go listen to them. Oh.
What Awkward Marina is talking about here is something that I've been trying to articulate for a long time, and I think I finally got it. Y'all want your favorite artists to be Disney Channel characters. Let me explain. For as long as I've been following popular music, I have noticed this push for relatability, which, don't get me wrong, has always been there, but I feel like in my lifetime as I've come of age, it has become very warped. It is no longer just that you want to see yourself in the artist to an extent, or feel like their songs apply to your life. You don't want the artist to be doing anything that you yourself cannot do or think you cannot do. When an artist is highly skilled or experienced, God forbid, has knowledge of the industry that they're working in, you guys get so intimidated because you want the Disney Channel narrative of someone being plucked from obscurity based on raw talent alone. That your favorite star is just like you, that you would be best friends if you ever met them, and that absolutely none of what they are putting forward has anything to do with marketing or anything else that's above your head. This is why all pop stars are expected to be singer-songwriters these days, which I disagree with, but that could be a whole separate video. Dare I say this is where most industry plant allegations come from? People not being good enough at covering up that they know what they're doing. It's so weird.
You're really
Like there's some sort of illusion that comes with being an artist. And like the illusion is that you're born with the talent and then you're just kind of plucked from obscurity when you make it, and it can happen to anyone. You just got lucky. And once they find out that someone has actually been working towards their creativity or their artistic abilities, it makes the other person feel bad because just this person working hard existing means that someone else isn't working as hard if they haven't achieved the same level. This doesn't have to be true, but it's kind of like what people feel. And so once they find out that you've actually worked for what you've got, that it didn't just happen by chance, or then they lose interest in wanting to support you. The thing is, that happens to me all the time. Like I will have a booth at the farmer's market and I'm selling my artwork. Again, I've been painting for 5 years. I've been in gallery shows. I am an artist. People will come up to me and they will be so excited and they'll be like, oh, are you in school? And I'll be like, no, I'm almost 30. And then they'll stop wanting to talk to me. They are not excited anymore. Like they've just completely lost interest. And I've been thinking about this a lot because even when I used to be a server, so this was before I was an artist, it was kind of a joke that I would do that like older people would tip me more if they thought that I was in college and serving, as opposed to knowing that I'm just an adult trying to make rent. And I couldn't figure out why, like I don't know. I always thought of it as like just this funny thing. But there's something, I don't know. I haven't really fully fleshed out this idea, but there's just something interesting to think about. Like people like you more when they think that you are like just filled with raw, born with talent, or they think that you are like, I don't know, I'll have to just insert the video so that you can see what the conversation was. and then I'll like show the comments that I saw that sort of got me thinking about this topic, because it's weird, but it's like a human nature thing. I don't know. But yeah, TikTok will have me thinking about things like that all the time, or like it'll just bring up situations that I hadn't thought about and then make me have to like address it. And that's why I watch YouTube videos too when I'm painting. I just like to hear people's commentary about things. See if it relates to me in any way. And when I'm not doing that, then I'm making videos, so I'm hearing my commentary. So I don't know. I don't know if that's weird or not. I think a lot of artists need to be stimulated by some outside source while they're like creating artwork. I don't know where it comes from, but I actually think this is where I'm gonna end it. It looks like Rita Ora right now. Kinda. I think it's something in the eyes that I'm gonna have to change up a little bit. But yeah, this is where I'm gonna end it. What's the difference between a can and a person? You tell me.